Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ultimate Weight Loss Success Summit. I'm your host, Wendy Wise, and I have an extraordinarily special speaker here today, easy for me to say. Her name is Jeneth Blackert. And Jeneth, if you want to say hi, and then I'll tell a little bit about your background.
Hi, everyone.
So Jeneth is very special to me in my life, and I'll tell you a little bit later in the call why. She's actually known to be the most sought-after inner game and high-performance facilitator and consultant in the holistic and the financial advisory communities. For the past 11 years, she and her team have facilitated thousands of professionals with the secrets to high performance and creating fast success, both in business and in life. Today, she playfully invites people around the globe to open to expanded possibility. With a background in corporate blend and her very unique approach to change, Jeneth has an ability to profoundly increase wealth and deepen her clients' lives. She is the author of several books and programs, including her transformational fictional novel, Falling in His Stilettos, 7 Dragons, A Guide to Limitless Mind and Simple Marketing. And Jeneth has also been a contributing author to several books, including How the Fierce Handles Fear with Donald Trump and Jack Canfield, Business with Stephen Covey. And then Jeneth today runs a 7-figure high-performance company and is a huge contribution to this planet and to us. So, Jeneth, welcome to the call. There's a lot more to your background and your story, and I would love for you to begin by sharing it with people.
Thank you. Gosh, Wendy, I sometimes when I start, I sometimes don't even know where to go because there's all these infinite possibilities for us to play in. But let me just give you the real brief, weird, you're like, what? She's a strategic coach for business and body. So I am, so the reason that is because I'm a nutritionist. I degreed RD, the whole shebang. And instead of being a nutritionist, when I was 22, I worked for a company called the Diet Center, which was kind of like Nutrisystem. And I was skinny, tiny, like 105 pounds and 22 years old. And people just would not respect me. And I think I had a bit of an ego on top of everything I was. And so another reason that they wouldn't really respect any of my nutritional advice. And I kind of had this attitude like, stupid, just eat differently. And, it was just kind of this, weird dynamic. So instead, I went into the business side of that business. And that kind of went on to be a 13-year journey where I found myself being a Java programmer at Dell Computers and working my way up a few years at Dell to really becoming an executive and doing some project management within that community. And that all ended after I went in for surgery in 2005, and I woke up and something was bizarrely different with me. And my husband, could tell right away, but he was just like, oh, that's got to be just the medication, the drugs of all of this. And what we discovered was something energetically happened to me, and I started to open doors to all this clairvoyant, gifts and these clairvoyant journeys within entities, blah, 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 blah. And as I did that, I began to uncover and discover more about this world and more about me. And I stepped into this deep journey of being. And I started an interview series sort of like this one and talking to people about, their essence of energy and how to use the 5th dimensional space in their effort of being. And that turned into, me really beginning to understand, more of me, and also began me really understanding just people in general. So today, after coaching and facilitating thousands of people in this journey of body, being, really being in their body and uncovering some of those hidden blocks that get locked in the body, I really began to uncover that I had this amazing gift to intuit some of the stuff that we are hiding in our bodies. And so today I work just looking at possibilities, like just how can we unlock the limitation and open up to greater possibilities. And I hope we just have a dynamic conversation where we can open some doors for you so that we can unlock this, hidden weight and these things that you may be hiding within you so that you can live a greater, more vibrant life and really be in your body instead of using food and other addictive habits to comfort yourself and avoid the great awareness and numb out some of the yuckiness of this reality. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. I think that's the best way to say it.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. And our topic actually today for the listeners is how to lose 13 pounds in 6 weeks by asking your body. And so also stay to the end, and Jeneth will be giving away some wonderful free gifts, and she'll lead you to some of the projects that she's working on. And I appreciate you giving context, Jeneth, of why the heck, I would have you as one of our featured experts and speakers, because people are going, well, wait a minute, this is supposed to be about weight loss. Well, I have told people on the summit with the interviews and some of the speakers and experts is that weight really isn't about weight. It's almost like the distraction from everything else that's going on. And the work that you do connects and contributes to all of that to help people empower them and to begin to learn about what that's really all about and so much more. So where would you like to begin with the work that you're doing, Jeneth?
Let me tell you the story of that woman so her name is Amy, and Amy lives in Los Angeles area, and I've met her once in Ventura, but she did some phone coaching with me, and she was in my Naked program, Naked number 2. We're launching right now Naked number 3. And Amy came to me really, she just felt scattered, unfocused, and she wanted to grow her business. Like, we weren't even working on weight when she first came to me. And then about 6 or 8 weeks in, Amy comes to me and says, I am getting married in about 6 months, and I've been working with a personal trainer for 8 weeks, and I've lost 1 pound. And to say I'm frustrated is, is the energy at the bare minimal. And I said, well, okay, let's talk about this. I mean, I am a nutritionist, and we can look at what you're eating, or we can look at how you're being with it. And I said, so what feels lighter, that we focus on the energetics of this, or we actually look at what you're doing, actually doing tactically? And she said, well, let's look at the energetics first, and we'll talk next week. And if things don't go well, for another week, then I think we better talk about some of the specifics, and maybe my personal trainer that I thought was the best isn't really the best. So I, just, went into her world, and I was just there and being with her as I'm here being with you now. And I took a deep breath and I said, well, so what does your body choose to eat? And she just kind of pondered it for a minute, And she's like, well, probably not exactly what I'm eating now, because she has me on this high, protein diet, and, everything seems really constricted and really tight. And I said, so, Truth, how much is your body willing to lose? And she's like, 28 pounds. And I was shocked when she said that, because I've seen her. She wasn't that tiny, but I knew that, she probably had that amount of weight to lose. She was about, 160, 165 maybe. I was like, okay. So, Truth, how much is your body willing to let go of, not lose, this week? Actually, most of the questions were in, how much is it willing to release? How much is it willing to let go? How much is it willing to donate? And I would kind of alternate those words. And I'd say, okay, so Truth, how much is your body willing to release this week? And she said 5 pounds. And I'm just being there with it. There's no point of view. There's no conclusion, everything or anything. And I was like, okay, so what would your body choose for movement work today, this week, this moment? And she knew the answer. Was it exactly what she was doing? Not even close. What would your body choose for food? And it was totally different, not even close. Her body wanted to eat vegetables and sushi and things like that. Her body did not want to eat the protein, and the quantity and the grams of protein that was requested of her. So I said, so would you be willing to just do this week exactly what your body would choose? And she just fell into this area where she just said, well, nothing else is working. Yes. And I talked with her that next week over Skype, like we just chatted. And I'm like, so how's it going? And she's like, yeah, I lost 5 pounds. And I was like, there's something to this.
Yeah.
And there's something to this energy of really asking the body and asking questions. And I've really started to, and that was actually a really big breakthrough for me, because I really had no point of view. I'm thinking, she can do this, and I know she can. And I would even go into, is there an unwillingness here of her not choosing it? And I wasn't so much even getting that. She was so willing to do it that I really just kind of fell into, okay, well, there's something here. So the work I had been doing prior to this was a lot of intuitive work with the body, where I would kind of bypass the being and I would go directly to the body. And so she was one of the first people that I worked with that I was like, nope, I'm not going to go to the body. I'm going to go to her so she can reach her body. So as she's responding, I'm kind of the position, that's light. Well, that's light. That's light. Energetically that she was intuiting from her body. Where before I'd go directly, so Wendy, if I would go directly to your body, I could kind of scan it and see where there was this energetic discomfort or this achiness or this tightness that we could ask a question of. But in this case, I went directly to the being, and I found that her communication with her body was probably quite more potent than my communication would have been if I went directly to her body and said, here, you've got something going on with this right hip. Mm-hmm. And what is that? So it's kind of it's kind of a weird way of being with a being and being with a body. Now, so this year is the third year that I've done my live naked call, which is all about being with a group of bodies on a telecall and just, seeing their bodies and seeing their changes that are available with their body. I've worked with everyone from I can't get pregnant to I have chronic fatigue syndrome to I just want to lose weight, right? Where weight seems to be like this bizarrely easy thing to solve, in comparison to some of these other type of issues. And I found that it's all about allowing a being to reconnect to their body in such a way that they can change it. And I'll say that again just so that you guys can really not just hear the words but kind of receive the energy of it. It's to really be connected to your body so you can change it. Because 9 out of 10 times, maybe even more, people, when there's uncomfortableness with their body, they run. They go up into the ethers or they go just somewhere else because they don't want to exist. They want to numb out. They want to avoid. They want to fight. They want to be free of it. So instead of choosing to change it and be free of it, they just go away. And that's one of the major reasons that I find that there is so much issues with weight. And, people will justify it and say, well, I just like the food. I just like to eat. And when you really dive down into asking some deeper questions, you're like, well, truth, do you really want to change your body and create something different with your body? Or do you want to continue liking food as you say you do? And if you just want to continue liking food like you say you want to do, then let's not talk about changing the weight because you're not going to change it. And it's kind of an interesting little play with things. And then and other people are like, do really, really well on their diet and they just get pissed off and then they will just overeat. Or they'll be like, I deserve this. I've had a long week and I deserve a hamburger and French fries from McDonald's. Yeah, and you get that energy that, in some way it's their reward. So, and I will go into, so truth, you want the reward or you want to change your body? And it's kind of I can talk all day on the emotional issues to why we don't change our weight. And it's always something emotional, unless, people do have, there are people that just have excessive appetites. And there are also bodies that just fight and resist certain foods. And when you can get in tune with your body, you can change those two things too. So I think, secret number one is kind of, what's the emotional block here? And then secret number two is there some sort of resistance and reaction going on in my body that's causing me to continue to hold on to weight and to get your body to either be in agreement with those foods or neutralization with those foods or to avoid the food. because there are certain foods that do cause inflammation in bodies. And, they've been tested, they've been studied, they've been researched. And I think that it depends on the body. And I do think bodies have a certain point of view, and it may or may not be cleared. So I think that that's definitely a, viewpoint that I see going on, that if people are continuing to eat something that's aggravating them. And I think that also the viewpoint of I'm always hungry and what's hunger, I think that that's one as well that can be changed and cleared. So there's my 2 cents on it.
Well, and there's so much in what you said, and I love it. We've been talking on the summit that, we don't come with an operator's manual. You can buy anything these days, and it comes with a manual except for our bodies. And so and we don't have an emergency backup body. We're on this planet, and we have our bodies, and they're the most priceless gift. I say the only bad day you ever have is when you don't have your health. And your body, your quality of life is just it's a huge part of that, and no one teaches us what you're teaching, so it's so powerful. And most of us are taught our whole life to believe other people's points of view about this whole topic and to look outside ourselves for answers instead of looking within and start to begin to ask them questions to empower us and to know what we know, which is, so amazing the work that you're doing. So, Jeneth, you mentioned also there's some alignment that can go along with food, and will you share a little bit about that, and then will you explain a little bit about light, what light means to you, so that people can get a sense of it?
Yeah, let's do that first. So I use the word light, which in our energetic being, also another word for light means expansive, and then heavy. And heavy could mean contracted. And basically those are just, I have the viewpoint that through consciousness, we navigate our reality on things that either feel light and expansive or heavy and contracted. And I do think that if it's light and expansive, it's true for you. Like, that is the direction for us to follow. And if it's contracted and heavy, then it's a lie, and you shouldn't go there and you shouldn't follow it. And I get that viewpoint because, well, one, I've heard it and it's been taught to me. But then when I really come into my body, being and everything, I have that viewpoint of, gosh, we simply just need to follow what's light and expansive, because wouldn't the universe consciousness really want us to follow those things that seemed like, if you think of light and expansive, it's kind of like our desires and the joy and the deliciousness of life. And you think of heavy and contracted, and that's kind of like, yucky, I don't want to do it. So in order for us to create through universe or consciousness, we're guided with those kind of intuitive triggers that are in fact triggers or notifications of energy through our body, by the way. I know that we like to bypass the body, but whether it's an energetic body or it's a physical body here on this planet, those are your gauges. So that's the basis, the essence of my work is the navigation of light and heavy. And it's also the trust and belief that consciousness is everything without fixed position, so to speak, without judgmental positions of conclusion and definition. So those are kind of where not just the body work in my company is based on, but also the work throughout is really based on consciousness includes everything and judges nothing, and to follow the intuitive lightness of everything. And so that's piece one. And then the second question you asked that I kind of has escaped me was what?
About alignment. So you started to talk about that, about what that can mean with the body.
Right. So if everything is light and expansive, that also to me means that there's these polar opposites. And these polar opposites in my work that is somewhat based on access consciousness is if it's light, then it's true, and if it's heavy, it's false, okay? So if there's also this area of alignment and agreement or resistance and reaction. So question, would resistance and reaction fall into the heavy category? And where would alignment and agreement fall into? Well, in this case, it kind of falls into the heavier category because it's also a point of view. So what I'm really looking for is, yeah, it's great if foods agree with the body and align with the body, but I think we're actually looking for just neutralization with the body. Like, it could just take in any food and just be, okay, happy, great, and do exactly what that food energy requires. So if you take in food and the food in your body and your body is reacting to the food, meaning your fingers are getting swollen, meaning your tongue is getting swollen, meaning your tongue is getting coated, then it may be something to observe, to notice, and to change. And then if you keep adding those foods to your world, you may want to question, hey, why do I keep choosing this? Mm-hmm. You know, if you find that, you know, gluten seems to be a really big problem on this planet, and I think it's an American problem. I think the way we grow and we refine wheat in America does not agree with most bodies. I've heard from people who've lived in New Zealand and other areas that they're fine eating bread until they come to America, or vice versa. They're fine if they go on vacation in New Zealand, but they're not fine eating it here in America. So I do think there's something energetically tweaky about that system in America. And a lot of people seem to be having gluten allergy or gluten intolerance. And it's minimal. Like, you don't notice it until you're like, gosh, I'm really gassy today. Like, so it's not like so discomfort. But have you noticed, like, you'll have one day and you'll be gassy and you're bloated, and then the next day you'll have constipation, and then 2 days later you'll have diarrhea, and you won't have any reason why. And I think that there are certain foods that, you know, and I, you know, I'm picking on gluten, and I'm sorry, gluten, for picking on you, but I do think that there are certain foods, and I think gluten is a big one, not just for celiac patients, but I just think it's a big one across the board in America. And I think that there are others. I mean, people have allergies to eggs and to peanuts, and, you know, and there's a range of others. And there are some really great scientists and researchers, including J.J. Virgin, if you've heard of her, who have just done extensive work on those things that are causing us inflammation within the system, which are causing us leaky gut syndromes. And I really think that if you notice that there's some sort of reaction, or if you just absolutely can't lose weight, I do think that these are people to go to look at, hey, is this a food allergy? You know, is there some sort of resistance reaction? And, you know, my work, we do clearings, and I do think you can clear a lot of these. And I do think that, it's great to avoid them for a while as well to see if something changes. So, so it's kind of, how I've seen it and just, working with a lot of people. I mean, I want to use all the tools. I don't want to just say, well, we can open the door with question and awareness and change it. Well, maybe some of the awareness is that your fingers are swelling after you eat gluten or dairy, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe those are foods that your body is reacting to, and maybe those are foods you should avoid until we can find a way to clear it from the system. So one of the best body ways to clear anything is, what are you refusing with the dairy products you are choosing? Or what are you refusing with the gluten product you're choosing? And everything that is times a gazillion, we destroy and then create all those energies. And then take a breath. Yeah. Yeah. So kind of opening the energy through question. Sometimes when you bring up the question, there'll be lots of, oh my God, a whole hell of a lot. But we don't ask those questions. I mean, we just boogie along and be like, crap, I'm gassy again. What's up with this? I'm going to blame it on being stressed out, and sometimes it is. It has nothing to do with anything else other than stress. Sometimes we go to food too fast. And, but I do, any time that there's some sort of reaction going on in the body and there's some sort of inflammation that will prevent you from losing weight, that will prevent you from, really reaching the targets that you want to reach around weight loss. I think that it's also important to say, pH is another biggie. People, boogie along and they drink, water in certain ways, and it could be really acidic to their system. Could be creating some acidity, which will also cause a reaction in the body, which also keeps you from really being able to release weight. So I think that there's these components. But, this conversation is really about, hey, well, what is your body choosing here? And what is your body reacting to? Because, we can look at all these things and we can change all these things, but we need to change it with true energetic lightness around it instead of this, I have to now drink alkaline water and I have to now do this. And, it's kind of like, Eeyore, would you like to go on a diet? I mean, it's like, well, how miserable can we make this for you? And I really truthfully think that the journey of weight loss can really be one of like, wow, this is fun. And I'm seeing results and I'm seeing it fast. And oh my goodness, how lucky am I? And I think when it's not fun and it's not as explosively exciting in that way, then results don't happen, and then you get discouraged, you get frustrated, and then you're like, I can't lose weight. And then you come to that conclusion, and off we go into conclusion land where then you will never create it. So I do think that this can be light, easy, and fun. Yeah.
Well, and, the people that I've seen who have been able to have long-term, what we call solutions instead of resolutions, and not do the extremes and all the other crazy stuff that goes on, is that they have figured out a way to live their life and ask some questions and decide and choose what works for them and make it fun and not make it so significant and hard and intense and oh my gosh, and then taking the focus, it sounds weird, but taking the focus off of the weight and begin to look at, some other things. Especially the choices. You are a big proponent, and so have I, that it's actually more about choices than people think that it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think that it's, and for even on Biggest Loser, I mean, I watch that program because I just love human transformation. you know, it does look miserable and hard for them in the first week, but you notice once they see success, after that first week, in general, they're in. They're like, I will come, I will be here, I will play, let's do this. And I think that they have remarkable, you know, change because, you know, yeah, there was a little bit of intensity, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with intensity. I mean, you know, it's just intensity. And, you know, and my question would be, could they have more results if they'd really get those beings and those people into, you know, they don't talk enough about the actual food that they're eating. And I wonder, you know, it seems like they kind of do let everyone choose what to eat. It would be neat to go on that show and be like, so what is your body asking for now? You know, for each of the participants, you know, and instead of them being like, I have to only eat chicken and this, that, and the other, it would be really dynamic to see what would happen with that. But, you know, I do think that, you know, intensity is good. And, you know, when you work your body hard and you sweat and you put in the effort and you see things and you get stronger. And I notice that when people get stronger, they're not just stronger in their body, they are stronger. Like, and they know that they are stronger. So I even say go for the intensity, you know, that it does, you know, at the end of the day, change you. And when you go for the intensity and you wonder why you're avoiding it, then you have some personal growth work to do there. So give me a call or join the Naked program, right?
Yeah, and we're going to talk about in a couple minutes some of the projects you have coming up for people, which is awesome. I'm really excited about it. Can you make some other recommendations before we talk about your projects, Jeneth? Because I know people I don't know if you ever noticed this, but when you ask people how they are, they say they're busy. And I'm really asking how they are. I'm not asking how full their schedule is. So a lot of times it feels like it's such an autopilot answer, and people are going, 100 miles an hour, and then there's so much information out there. I tease people that sometimes we're just soup with too many ingredients, and we've got to start asking some questions about whether those ingredients are going to work long term for your specific body, and to start to make different choices and allow yourself to not judge yourself in the process. So will you share with
great
some of the
question.
listeners?
Yeah, so what to do when you've concluded you're too busy to work out or you're too busy to take time to figure out your food is the question to ask is, do you really want to change this? Because people make time for the things that are important to them. People make time for their kids. People make time to go to the movies. People make time to play. People make time to go to their jobs to make money because money is important because blah, 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 they've concluded they need it or whatever. And so I would go into, is it important to you? And how much do you want to change it? And if they go into the roaring yes, well, then you find the time. And you find places to schedule. And, what's great about weekly coaching is you say, okay, well, let's look at your calendar right now and see when you could put in your, Zumba class or your, Qigong or whatever you do, right? Let's see when we can put those in. And let's see what we can arrange to do so. And then you talk to them next week, and then if they reach the goal, then great. And if they didn't, then you ask, okay, so what happened? And you'll often find that it was something emotional. I was pissed off. It was a really, really hard day, and the software deadline got extended. You'll find that is what happens. And I'll ask them, well, what if your Zumba class was treated like your sick child? That it didn't matter what was going on in your office. You had to go get that child. And then oftentimes you'll find that there will be a change in it. I take a no excuses approach to like everything, because I don't want to live a subpar life. And I think every reason, justification, excuse is our way to limit ourselves. So here's my quick tool. The easiest tool to stop limiting yourself is if you make an excuse, a reason, or a justification as to why you're not instead of why you are, then you are limiting yourself. And there should probably be another question that's asked around that. So, my husband's on this whole P90X kick, which is incredible. He's lost almost 50 pounds, and, he's tiny now. He still wants to lose like 3 or 4 more. I'm like, yeah, you don't really need to, but you go for it if you want to. I don't mind. And, he'll be, sometimes I'm like, laying around at 9 o'clock at night watching some sitcom, and he's like, I'm going to the gym now. And I'm like, okay, you go for that. I will be here watching TV, or I will be here, messing around with work or whatever. And, but he's made a commitment. And, I have a yoga practice, and I go every morning. I just drop my daughter off and then drive to the class and get it done, because I know if I don't do it in the morning, then I could possibly worm my way out of it, because I'm, my will sometimes isn't as strong in the evening as it is in the morning. And I know that about me, so that's how I choose it. And it really seems to work for me that way. So.
Well, and I love that, because, we have listeners on the call who are just maybe starting their weight loss journey, of what I call mid-struggle, and then we have people who have been doing the yo-yo dieting and among other extremes and other things in their life and chronic conditions and so forth for a really long time. And so the listeners wrote in. We did a survey, and they wrote in, and thank you so much for filling those out to give us an idea of where they're at. And if they're on this call today, Jeneth, we know they have a willingness on some level. And then it becomes about what you talked about, making a decision and taking action and having accountability without the judgment piece, and then outsourcing what I call, having a coach, because if this is your issue, then you may be too close to it. And it requires, I tell people, I don't even do my own nutrition and health care. I have a coach for that reason. And so I really appreciate you sharing that information with people, because there has to be a new conversation with fresh eyes and fresh ears. We can't stay in a place where it's the definition of insanity in this country, and we keep trying to do the same thing and get a different result with the health care bill and on and on and on, right?
Thank you for that. Love that.
Yeah, right. So will you share now some of the projects that you have coming up, and then the free gift for people and how it relates?
I do have a free call that if you go to Naked, because my work is about being vulnerably naked, .jeneth, JENETH.com/free. And you opt into there's a box there that talks about some of the things that I uncovered during a call. And one of the things that's really cool about this call is I talk about, like, the reasons that we hide and the reasons we don't step into our full-on shine, and some of the fear that keeps us from doing so, and kind of how the brain works. And that's one of the first places that you might want to start with me, because it really starts to talk about the body and how to talk and connect with the body, which is what my, full-on naked call is about. which starts February the 11th. And it has 8 calls. 2 of them really focus on weight loss. And so it's a 40-day journey into you really choosing it with me. So you get weekly group coaching calls, and we go through some of the content and me being on the line to intuit out what it really takes for you to step into all of you, be all of you, really full-on shine, and full-on shine through your body, your being, and your energy. So more of that is at naked.jeneth, jeneth.com. And if you want to join that course, you're definitely welcome. And if you're on this call, actually, how about this? We will give you 20% off just because I love Wendy and I really want you guys to be a part of it. So there's a coupon box. So if you sign up before the 11th of February and you type in capital naked 20, naked 20, you'll get 20% off the entire program. And there's a 3-pay option or there's a full pay. So the regular payment is $297. You'll go ahead and get 20% off that. And there's lots of bonuses. You get a ticket to my live event, which is just $97 instead of $997. It's in Austin, Texas, April 4th through 6th. You'll also get a previous program that I did called Be Hot. HOT stands for Happiness, Oneness, Thriving, and it's a full 28-day immersion. And you'll get those 2 bonus weight management calls that will really take you through, the journey of what you're really choosing here. And then we'll get to play in doing so together for 40 full days or 6 weeks. So, see if it aligns. All the dates are there. Again, the link is naked.jeneth.com. And, it's our best-selling program. This is the 3rd annual. And people just seem to absolutely love this program. It's just, it's easy, it's light. It just takes them through those things that they just don't want to deal with their body and their being. Mm-hmm. And it really uncovers, how to get them. I mean, I just feel like it's just such an opportunity. I only do 2 live calls every year, and one is on body and one is on money. So this is your chance to work with me, in a group setting. And, our groups are small, so you can ask your questions. It's not like I've got 3,000 people on the line. There's like 20 people on the call. So these are, your chance to play with me in that way. And so, I invite you. I mean, this is your chance to really choose you, to really change, and to really say yes to you and yes to what you want to create here. So love for you guys to play.
That's awesome, Jenna. Thank you so much. How does it get better than that? Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you.
And, my gosh, I love having you on the call today. Is there any final thoughts that you'd like to wrap up with for our listeners?
Gosh, I mean, I think that there's like lots of different places that we could go. But, I think at the end of the day, I mean, what you know. At the end of the day, if something feels light, you know it. And if something feels heavy, then you know that too. So I think the biggest opportunity here is for you to choose that knower inside of you, to know that you know that you know. And when you deny that, to know that you denied it so that you can change it next time. So, just choose from that space always, no matter what you're choosing for. When you know something will make a difference in your life, then you know it. So choose it instead of questioning and, playing with that little you or that big, versus that big knower in you. And I just, if I could just get all of the world to choose that way, no matter what they're choosing, I think that I would feel like I really accomplished something in this lifetime.
Well, that's awesome, and you have accomplished quite a bit, my dear, and I'm sure you're just getting started. And you are a priceless gift in this planet and the work that you be and the contribution that you are, and I'm so grateful to have you on the summit for our listeners and for myself. And I want you all to know that we will make sure we connect you with Jeneth and her work. We'll have the link for you on your email and also on the replay page. And then if you have any questions, feedback, support, or you can't get to Jeneth for some reason, we will direct you. And our email is support@ultimateweightlosssuccesssummit.com. That's support@ultimateweightlosssuccesssummit.com. Thank you so much for your time and energy, Jeneth, and we appreciate who you are in the world. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Wendy.